His name was Tonino Mora. He was a shepherd in the Nuoro highlands of Sardinia. He woke before dawn, walked 6 miles of mountain terrain before breakfast, came home to the same meal his mother had made before him, and lived to 97 without heart disease, without cancer, without dementia, and without a single daily medication. When journalists arrived in Solstice, the village above Nuoro that produced more centenarians per capita than anywhere else on Earth, they expected to find something unusual, an exotic herb, a genetic anomaly, a practice from another world. What they found was Tonino's kitchen, and it looked like a very poor man's pantry. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what Tonino ate, how he prepared it, and what each part of his daily routine was doing inside his body. Not as a protocol to study, as a week to follow. You'll get the grocery list, the prices, and the one step in his preparation that almost no one in the West does, and that changes the outcome of everything else. Get a pen. This one is worth writing down. Tonino started every morning with barley, not oatmeal, not eggs, not a protein shake, pearl barley. The grain that grows on poor mountain soil, the grain the highland farmers of Nuoro had eaten for generations, because it was what the land gave them. He cooked it plain, added olive oil, salted it, and ate it warm. That was breakfast. When the Akia Project at the University of Sassari interviewed more than 4,000 Sardinian centenarians to understand what they had eaten, the barley was everywhere, not as an occasional ingredient, as the daily foundation. The researchers cross-referenced the data with health outcomes. The centenarians in the interior highlands, the ones eating the most barley, showed the lowest rates of cardiovascular disease, the lowest markers of chronic inflammation, and the lowest rates of metabolic disease of any group in the study. Here is why that matters. Pearl barley has a glycemic index of 28. White rice is 72. Pasta is 49. That gap is not a footnote. For someone over 60, the daily management of blood sugar across decades is exactly what separates the Toninos of Sardinia from their counterparts in the West. The active compound is beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that forms a slow gel in the digestive tract, blunts the glucose spike after eating, and feeds the gut bacteria responsible for maintaining the intestinal lining. The University of Eastern Finland ran a 12-week trial with 150 adults with elevated metabolic markers. One group added 6 g of barley beta-glucan daily. Waist circumference dropped 4.2 cm. The control group lost 0.6. Same calories, different grain. Tonino was not managing his glycemic index. He was eating what the mountain produced. The outcome was the same. Where to find it? Pearl barley is in the grain aisle of any Walmart, Kroger, or Whole Foods. Under $2 for a 500 g bag, 8 to 10 servings. One critical note, buy pearl barley, not quick barley or 10-minute barley. The processing that shortens cooking time degrades the beta-glucan structure entirely. Look for the word pearl on the label. Cook a batch on Sunday, 45 minutes at a low simmer, and it holds in the refrigerator all week. Tonino ate it every morning, not as a health strategy, as breakfast. At midday, Tonino came down from the hills, and his wife made soup, the same soup, more or less, that the Mellis family ate 90 minutes south in Perdastafogu. 9 siblings whose combined ages totaled 828 years, the highest combined lifespan ever recorded among siblings, confirmed by Guinness World Records. When researchers asked about their diet, the eldest sister, Consolata, 105 at the time, described the family soup. Zucchini from the garden, potato, fava beans, chickpeas, white beans, a small pasta, served hot at midday every week since childhood. Tonino's soup was the same logic. Whatever legumes were in the house, whatever vegetables were in the garden, barley added to stretch it. Everything simmered together in water for 25 to 30 minutes. Then, and this is the step most people in the West skip entirely, he added olive oil in the bowl. Not during cooking, after. The reason this matters, extra virgin olive oil contains oleocanthal, the compound that inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes as ibuprofen. But oleocanthal degrades under sustained heat. The Sardinian centenarians added their oil cold in the bowl after cooking. Not because they understood the biochemistry, but because their mothers did it that way. The biochemistry confirms the practice. 2 tablespoons of quality olive oil added after the pot comes off. The heat preserves the active fraction. The EPIC study tracked 47,867 men across Europe for 18 years. Men eating legumes as their primary protein source had half the circulating IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, of men eating animal protein at every meal. After 60, chronically elevated IGF-1 accelerates cellular aging. Tonino ate almost no animal protein at lunch. He ate beans, not as a sacrifice, as what his family had always eaten. Here is the soup template. Not a recipe, a structure you adapt with whatever is in the house. 1 part barley, 2 parts legumes, white beans, chickpeas, fava beans, or lentils. Whatever vegetables you have, zucchini, carrot, kale, potato, simmer in vegetable broth or plain water for 25 to 30 minutes. Add 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the bowl after cooking. That is the Mellis soup. That is Tonino's lunch. That is what the AKA data kept finding in kitchen after kitchen in the Nuoro Highlands. With canned beans, it takes 25 minutes. The whole pot lasts 3 days in the refrigerator. In the evening, Tonino ate almost nothing. A piece of bread, some cheese, a tomato, whatever fruit was in season. He was done before 7. The cheese was sheep's milk cheese, semi-cured, from animals that had spent their lives on mountain pasture, not in a feedlot. This is not the hard-aged Pecorino Romano you find vacuum-packed in American supermarkets. It was softer, younger, from sheep eating the same wild plants Tonino walked past every morning. Sheep's milk from pasture-grazed animals contains 4 times more omega-3 fatty acids than grain-fed cow's milk. A 2004 meta-analysis in the Proceedings of the Nutrition Society documented that conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, a fatty acid abundant in grass-fed sheep's milk, was associated with measurable reductions in body fat in adults over 50, independent of caloric intake. 2 to 3 Oz, 3 to 4 times a week, alongside the barley and legumes, not in addition to a normal portion of meat, but replacing it. The accessible options: Manchego semi-curado at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, or most supermarkets with a cheese section. Authentic Greek feta in block form, not the pre-crumbled domestic version, which is usually cow's milk. Any block labeled 100% sheep's milk. If the label says blend, it is mostly cow. Tonino did not eat a large dinner. That is also part of the system. The biggest nutritional investment of his day happened at noon. Barley and bean soup, warm, with oil in the bowl. The evening meal was light because that is how the Highland farmers had always done it. The body responds differently to the same food depending on when it arrives. This is not optimization, it is the structure of Tonino's day. Here is the full week built around how Tonino actually lived. Sunday is prep day. Cook 1 full batch of pearl barley. 500-degree dry, makes 8 to 10 servings cooked. Cook a large pot of legumes, 2 cans of white beans, or 1 cup dried. These 2 things in the refrigerator are the foundation of everything that follows. Monday, breakfast. Pearl barley warmed with olive oil and salt, the way Tonino ate it. Lunch. Barley and white bean soup, olive oil in the bowl, 2 to 3 ounces of manchego on the side. Dinner, a piece of sourdough bread, a tomato with olive oil, a piece of fruit. Tuesday, breakfast, 2 eggs with leafy greens and a slice of real sourdough, dense, fermented, not the soft commercial loaf. The fermentation in real sourdough degrades the phytic acid in the grain the same way the Sardinian flatbread did. Lunch. The bean soup from Sunday's batch reheated gently. Oil added in the bowl. Dinner. Vegetable broth with whatever is in the house. Wednesday breakfast. Barley again with olive oil and salt. Lunch. Chickpeas with garlic, rosemary and lemon. Sautéed and finished with olive oil off the heat, alongside a bitter green, arugula, chicory or dandelion dressed with olive oil and lemon. 2 Oz of feta alongside. Dinner, a small bowl of vegetable soup and fruit. Thursday, breakfast. Full-fat plain yogurt with a tablespoon of raw honey. Lunch. Barley and lentil soup. Olive oil in the bowl. Small piece of sheep's cheese. Dinner. Light salad with olive oil and lemon. Friday, breakfast. 2 eggs and sourdough. Lunch. The remaining bean soup plus remaining barley mixed together. The Sardinian way of finishing the week's batch. 2 ahs of manchego. Dinner. Bread, tomato, olive oil, fruit. Saturday. Breakfast. Barley warm with olive oil. Lunch. Chickpeas cold from the refrigerator. Chickpeas stored overnight develop more resistant starch, which feeds the gut bacteria differently than freshly cooked. With olive oil, lemon, and arugula. Dinner. Vegetable broth, sheep's cheese, fruit. Sunday. Restock, cook, repeat. The full grocery list for one person under $50 for the week. Pearl barley, $2 grain aisle, lasts 2 weeks. 2 cans of white beans, $3. 1 can of chickpeas, $150. 1 block of manchego semi-curado, $7. 1 block of authentic sheep's milk feta, $5. Real sourdough from a bakery, $5 to $7. Eggs, $4. Vegetables. Zucchini, carrot, kale, potato, arugula, $8 to $10. Quality extra virgin olive oil in a dark bottle with a harvest date, $10 to $14 for $500 meal. 1 lemon, garlic, rosemary, $3 total. Under $50 for all main meals for the week. Weekly kitchen time, 45 minutes on Sunday, 25 minutes on Tuesday for the soup, 10 to 15 minutes daily for everything else. Here is what the timeline honestly looks like. In the first 3 days, digestion shifts. The combined soluble fiber from the barley and legumes is substantially more than most Western diets provide. That is not a problem. That is the system running. In 7 days, the afternoon energy flatness starts to ease. The sustained glucose release from pearl barley is measurably different from rice or pasta. The body responds quickly to that signal. In 30 days, most people report less morning joint stiffness. The omega-3 shift from the sheep's cheese takes 4 weeks to begin reflecting in tissue. The olive oil, added cold after cooking, consistently starts accumulating its anti-inflammatory signal across meals. In 90 days, this is not a protocol. It is just what is in the refrigerator. The soup is Sunday, the barley is breakfast, the cheese is on the side, the oil goes on last, always. You have stopped thinking about it, which is exactly how Tonino Mera did it every day for 97 years, without calling it anything at all. One action this week: buy pearl barley, not quick barley. Pearl barley in the grain aisle under $2. Cook a batch this weekend. Use it in place of rice for 3 meals. That is week 1. The soup comes second. The sheep's cheese comes third. The rest follows. Drop your age in the comments and tell me, have you ever eaten barley as a regular grain? Not as soup filler, but as the base of a meal. The answers tell me what to cover next. 20 centenarians, 1 village, 20 years. No clinic, no program, no protocol. Just the grain the mountain grew, the beans his mother cooked, and a shepherd who walked the same hills every morning until he was 97. If this story changes the way you look at the simple grains in your pantry, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the history and the habits that have been overlooked for too long. Let's cultivate a healthier future together. The next treasure of longevity will be revealed soon.